let's get the show on the road. Anthony, please introduce yourself and let's get the show started.
Let's do it, man. Just trying to go live here. What's going on, guys? Anthony Angelillo, branch manager with the tag team, co-host of Damage Control, day 3 of March Market and Madness. And
it is madness. Dude, I don't know what possessed us to do this every day.
I got up this morning. Those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a lender. I've been doing this about 18 years, and I run and operate Miami Shores PRMG branch, CEO, founder of Tag Team Nation. But I was talking to Melinda this morning. I didn't have my coffee, so I was an ass, man. And I was trying to like wake up. I'm like, damn, dude. I ran this morning. I worked out, and I'm just, dude. It's back to back meetings, and this Zoom thing. I feel like, God forbid, COVID's, rewind it last year, we did a lot of Zoom meetings, but it was never madness like this, which is awesome though. The content that we learned yesterday was amazing. I'm looking forward to speaking to Tiffany again, because Tiffany, you're a marketing guru. Your content's deadly, and we appreciate you being on the show again. And so let's do this, man. Let's do this. I got my notepad. I'm ready for round 3.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Melinda Grimaldi, real estate and title attorney and co-host Damage Control. Anthony, are we counting this week as episodes? I think we should, right? So what episode are we at? Have you
43, I believe.
43. I think we're even more than that. 44. We'll have a better count tomorrow, but we're almost at 50, which is pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. We are over 600 subscribers. We're starting to spread outside of Florida. It's slowly creeping outside of the state, which is pretty cool. And this is a show that we created for real estate agents, the real estate industry, to grow their marketing, their expertise, their tools, their strategies, their knowledge base about contracts, loans, whatever it is, to get more for their business, to grow themselves personally and as a professional. So we spoke about this yesterday, right? This show is free for you guys. All we ask is that you share it with a friend that's also in the industry. That's our way that you can thank us for the show. We would love that. We would really appreciate that. So with that being said, I would love to formally welcome Tiffany back to Damage Control. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining us. I'll let you give yourself a little spiel. I know a lot of people have seen you before on our show, but we have a lot of new people since then, a lot of new subscribers. So why don't you introduce yourselves, where you are, what you do, and we can take it from there.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me here to chat with you all today. You guys are rock stars. Wow, almost 50 episodes. That is commitment. You guys are amazing. I know what it takes to do that. Whoa, I'm envious. So my name is Tiffany Pantozzi. I am a agent in the Central Florida area. So primarily some of my markets here are the Orlando area, Windermere, Winter Garden, Winter Park, Kissimmee, all of that. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but moved to the Central Florida region in 2010 and have been building, my business now in real estate going on 5 years. So when I first moved here, I owned another company and I ended up selling it. It was in the apparel industry. And then I got into real estate. But with my skills and my background, my career, I was able to really excel within this real estate market by applying a lot of the things I've learned throughout my career, especially some of the marketing tricks and things that I've used to build a brand quite quickly and bring awareness to myself quite quickly. So I primarily work in the residential market, and I do have more of a heavier seller base of clients, but of course I work with a lot of buyers that are looking for their, full-time residents, as well as investors looking to build out their portfolio, because we have a very strong short-term rental market here in Central Florida. So a lot of great investment opportunities here.
We were just talking about that last week, actually.
I was just going to say, we were talking
there's
about
a lot of stuff here.
Airbnb too, man. I heard Airbnb is big over there too.
A lot, yes. In certain, you're not allowed to do it in Orange County, but there's certain rules to it. But I obviously know those details. But it's great, and our values here are growing like crazy. There's been reports that even from February of this year to last year, our values have gone up 12%. But overall, there were reports stating that almost 20% in increase in certain areas. So our values are rising quite rapidly. Now, again, you're talking to a Miami girl here that grew up in Miami. So I've seen what has happened to the real estate market there. Now, again, Orlando is not Miami. It'll never be Miami. It's not even trying to be Miami. But what I do know is opportunities here in terms of being more affordable. And, right now our median home price is closer to the 350 range. And last year was in the 250 range. So just look at that in terms of the growth that we've had. But there's still a lot of amazing affordable homes here, and you get a lot for your money. And, we're going to see tremendous growth because I see so many people coming up from South Florida looking for more for their money, right? And of course, we're seeing the exodus of people from the Northeast and over in California, and everybody is looking for more for their money. So, and Florida has a lot of benefits to offer that. So yeah, so I focused in that, and I love marketing, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so let's talk about, so there's marketing yourself as an agent, and then there's marketing your luxury listing. So we wanted to talk about it in the luxury kind of context because it kind of has its own different way, right? Yeah. Like you have to do a few different things. So let's break that down into two parts. Let's talk about promote, and they kind of like overlap in certain parts, right? Because you can use your luxury brand as an agent to promote the listing, and then you could use a luxury listing to promote your brand as well. And I see you doing that very well, like with you have the Shack property that you've been promoting. That was really awesome how you did that video and everything. But let's talk about you first.
Really, really
how
awesome.
did you get yourself? You've been in the industry for 5 years. Some people work all their life to get into luxury, and then they just started towards the end because they have all the years under their belt. So how did you get into that? How much is your brokerage playing a part into that? And how do you do things a little differently, do you think, in marketing yourself as a luxury agent? I know that was like a loaded question.
I think that, those are all great questions. So let me put some things into perspective that will help people realize that it is possible to build it from the ground up, okay? Because number one, as I mentioned, I'm from Miami, Florida. I moved here and knew nobody. I don't have family here. I didn't have friends that I grew up with here. So my sphere of influence in Central Florida was a big fat zero, okay? My husband happens to be in the real estate space. He actually owns a title company here in Orlando, okay? But he also services realtors. So him and I do not really mesh forces at all, pretty much, because I don't want to muddy the waters for him and his business. And, I'd rather him help his agents succeed. I don't need his help, I would say, So I started from zero, okay? So I had to say, how am I going to build a brand? How am I going to make connections and build trust with people, right? To where they want to trust in me to represent them, especially in that higher price point. So when I first started in this business, I went to a luxury brokerage, okay? Because I knew that I would have access to other agents and listings and things that I didn't yet have, okay? So I wanted to leverage that opportunity. And you don't have to be with the number one brokerage in town, but if you're just starting in this business, you want to surround yourself with other top agents that you can potentially collaborate with, help. For instance, for me, I was able to utilize all their listings to do open houses in these luxury homes, luxury communities that got my name out there and helped me create a lot of content on my social to start putting it out into the world, to showing people what I was doing, right? And positioning myself in that space. So you can do that by maybe going on a top agent's team, providing value to them to be on their team, or again, just working and collaborating with other agents in the market to utilize their inventory to help you. So that's one of the things that really sparked it for me, is because I immediately plopped myself into that piece of the market. Now listen, I didn't shy away from also doing $150,000, $200,000 deals and driving an hour. Okay. One of my first listings was an hour away on the other side of town. It was torture. The clients were amazing. The house was great, but it was a lot of work for me, but I didn't care. In the beginning, you do whatever you want to do to get the experience and get some, things under your belt. So I was but I knew what my goal was, and I didn't ever veer away from that, right? Because you have to at some point create rules for yourself, I call it, right? Boundaries, to where you say, okay, I don't care. I'm not going to take any business outside of this sphere. Okay, I'm not going to take any business outside of this price range, because your time is valuable. And I always go back to saying, what is the value of my time and where am I putting it? You know, I see so many agents, and I love to network. I'll tell you, I love to network. I love to do opportunities like this where we speak. But if it's not going to move my business forward and get to the goal that I want to get to, then I'm just wasting my time. You know, I see a lot of agents so eager to go out and socialize with other agents, and that's good. It is important, but you have to also be very strategic about it and how much of your time you're using to do that, right? Versus other income producing activities. So by going ahead and putting yourself into that position and doing the things, like I said, leveraging other people's listings, maybe to get out there, get exposure, that really helped me put my foot in the door in this space. But then it's also how I'm presenting myself, right? The circles that I'm interacting with. I came across an agent once who was on my team for a brief period of time, didn't work out, but this person really, really wanted to be in luxury. So it's yet how do I say this in the nicest possible way? Because again, I'm not like trying to offend anybody, but like the way they presented themselves didn't scream luxury, right? With the gold chains and things like that were just, you know, there's certain things when you're looking to work with a luxury client, most aren't, you know, you have to present yourself in a certain way professionally. And whether it be
get all dressed up.
you have to get dressed up, right? It's also the way you speak. You know, I mean, listen, working here in Central Florida, like, you know, having good grammar, and of course they're in Miami. If you don't speak Spanish, that can be a disadvantage, right? I don't work in Miami, but here in Central Florida, like if you don't have good grammar and your grammar, maybe you're talking more slang, those things are not going to give a luxury client the, perception that you are a sophisticated, educated, qualified agent to represent their property. So it's more than just, oh, look, you know, I'm in a luxury home and I'm posting this. You also have to understand that lifestyle of that clientele you're going after. So you can talk the talk and walk the walk, I guess is the best way to say it, right?
Right, exactly. And it's not that the agents don't know, but it's like, depending on where you are located, right? The demographic of the luxury market, you need to put yourself in there.
Right. Exactly. You need to put yourself in there. And, you know, listen, I think tattoos all over your arms are super dope. Like, I think they're awesome. Right. And I dress really funky in my own personal life, and I wear things that I would never, ever get caught dead wearing to go to meet a client. Right. But again, when you're going to put yourself into that position to try to get that business, you have to present yourself accordingly. So maybe for a guy with sleeve tattoos, maybe you do wear a jacket because you don't know what the comfort level is of that person you're going to see. And the truth of our society is people judge each other. Hello. I mean, everybody judges the book, okay, by the cover. Unfortunately, that's the first impression is everything. And that's just life. And that's who our society is, unfortunately. So I think that it is important of how you're presenting yourself as well. So those were a lot of the things based on my growth and what has helped me in branding myself, and, you know, being able to talk the talk, walk the walk, and doing the work to provide content and information to people to put myself in that opportunity to get the business.
Let me ask you this question, Tiffany, because this is awesome. I'm just retaining your information. You said, what is the value of my time? Okay.
There's a whole other show.
Dude, straight up, man.
I really,
straight up, like,
I had a light bulb moment where like, I need to stop doing this one thing. As you were saying it, as you said it, I'm like, I know I've been like putting it off, but I really need to just cut that thing off.
Yeah, there's certain things you have to force yourself to cut off, you know, and sometimes I say this to myself and I'll still do the stupid things or take something that I knew I shouldn't have taken. And I'm like, damn it, every time I kick myself in the ass because I know I shouldn't have taken this and it's more work than it should have been. And I should have just been strict with myself. So,
okay, let me just backtrack here. So, because I know from a lender standpoint, I only do specific products. When agents are like, do you do non-QM? No, I don't want non-QM. I'm a brain surgeon. This is what I specialize in. I don't do heart surgery. This is it. That's it. Because I know the margins are there. I know the numbers are there. I know the statistics are there. I know everyone's going to want a 500,000 below or a million below. My question is this: if I'm a new agent, when did you see yourself making that turn into luxury? Because you said you started with the 50, 100, $200,000 loans. When did you say my time is too valuable to entertain this? If I'm going in, if I'm taking a pivot to go to luxury, I'm assuming now you have a team that takes care of that. But like, when would the individual make that decision?
Right. Well, I can tell you, I might not be the same as everybody, but from day one, I knew that I was going to be in luxury. And I also had the opportunity to grow up in a certain environment that already, I'm very comfortable in that space. Okay. To me, that's just where I belong. So it's not something that I have to, work to learn how to do or get comfortable in that space. So that's number one. But of course, you don't just all of a sudden get business in that, right? You have to work towards getting the business, especially in a place that you don't know anybody. So for me, it was really after year 2 that I started to say, no, I will not take certain deals under a certain price point. You know, I rather give them to my team members or refer them out. So I just don't have the time for it personally, right? And I have to be more strategic. So it really wasn't like day one, I only took big deals, because then you just won't do any business. You have to kind of mix it in, right? It was really after year 2 where I felt that I was able to strategically start to create more boundaries for myself of saying, I'm not going to drive an hour away for a home under $1 million, right? I'm not going to do certain things. So it did take me some time to get there, because I still needed more deals coming in the door, and I was still willing to take anything those first 2 years.
And let me interject for the audience, because I know that people are going to judge too. It's not about, oh, I'm not taking this, it's not worth my time, I'm making a big, it's nothing about that. Tiffany's saying her time is valuable. How she can monetize her time is what she's talking about. It's not about saying we don't want the low hanging fruit.
I do not think I'm better than anything or anyone. Absolutely not. If you're an agent that crushes $200,000, $300,000 deals, like, you are awesome, right? You have to also think about, where are you in your market? Like, how much of a certain price point is even in your market to sell? You know, I might be talking to you and you might be in a market that like the highest price point is 500,000. Well, then my theory doesn't apply to you, and you have to create your own theory, right? But here in the Central Florida area that I personally live and work in, I live in Windermere, Florida. I live and work in the areas that have I guess the differentiation and price point where I can be a little bit more selective if I choose. Now, this business is extremely demanding, and I like to provide a very high level of service to my clients. And I get anxiety on how like important it is for me to make sure that they are covered in their transaction. So I also understand that, why do I work every single day? I work every day because I want to provide more for my family, and I love to travel, and I want a healthy travel budget. Okay. But I much rather be at home with my husband and my family versus chasing a $300,000 deal. Okay. So I've made that's my standard. It doesn't mean that it's not okay for somebody else to go after that. Again, I'm going into year 5. I can say some of these things. I wouldn't have said this to you year 2. Okay. So there's a growth pattern here that you have to get to if you want to meet those goals. And my goals are going to be different than everybody's goals on this call. Right.
And so that's also why you grew a team, right? You grew a
exactly.
team to take on those.
Exactly. I'm strategically growing a team to where I can pass them off. So I'm still involved. If somebody really wants to work with me, great. I want to also be engaged with that person. And my team, I oversee my whole team, and I am still touching on deals, advising on deals. So I am able to help them and still feel like I'm a part of it, and it is my team, versus just completely passing it off to a complete stranger outside of my business.
All right. Let's pivot. Marketing. You are a guru.
But that was not the technology part, but the part about how you present yourself, that is part of your marketing.
Without a doubt.
As much as people don't like to admit it, the car you drive, how you dress, that's part of your marketing.
Yes, that's our society. Wake up. And it's not about be kind. And listen, I like, yes, be kind and be generous and don't judge people. And I get that. But our society traditionally, even though they might say all those, words, they're still judging you as soon as you walk out of your car, especially in the luxury space, so it does matter. It definitely does.
For sure.
Guys, if you don't follow her, this right here, all right, is badass. Like that, that is, when I was scrolling through the other day, I'm like, dude, this girl's got it, man. Like, you are just spot on with marketing. It is nasty. It's nasty. And it's clean, it's crisp, it's direct, it's to the point. That's marketing. Okay.
I
So
really appreciate that, because I work really hard on my marketing, and that's one of my favorite parts of this business. I just launched a YouTube. I had a YouTube channel, but I'm putting a lot more effort. We're launching new videos every week. You can find me on my social media at Tiffany Pantozzi on both YouTube or Instagram, where I put out a lot of content. But again, I'm trying to represent, like, that's me in a luxury home, and I'm representing that higher end of the market. I'm talking about one of the most luxurious communities in Central Florida. So I'm putting out content that is going to attract a certain type of a clientele for me, and also I love marketing so much that actually this year I'm launching a whole program for agents that is going to give them a lot of tools and resources that I use in my business to use for themselves. So I'm excited about that too.
cool. Awesome.
Love it. All right. So with regards to your social media strategy, what platforms are you using? Do you think that there's certain platforms that you need to be in for luxury real estate versus others? Any advice on where to focus?
Yeah, there's a lot of effort you have to put in to be really good at one platform, right? So for me, the three most important platforms for me, again, like, some people crush Facebook and I'm like super envious, but I never go on Facebook. I just don't. So I'm really Instagram, because I'm a very visual person and I like to be able to present myself in a visual way, because I think images speak volumes, right? So Instagram, I think, is really great, but again, it is a younger demographic on there. Okay. So that's like a bigger future play for me. I do get business from it, but I think that a lot of that growth and momentum I'm building will have a lot to do with the younger generation when they are ready to start buying. But definitely Instagram for me. YouTube, because YouTube is owned by Google. So when you search certain things, if you have great content you're putting out there on YouTube, it's going to be able to be found through the algorithms and get in front of potential buyers and sellers. And you could, again, target the content that you're putting out there to be able to represent a certain segment of your market area in your market and become the expert, right? The authority in your area, because you're speaking on it as an expert. So creating that content on YouTube, I think, is very important. And then I would say LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, it's a professional platform. There's a lot of professionals on there, people with businesses, careers, right? Those are the people that have the ability to purchase a home or might already own a home. So LinkedIn, I think, is a very good platform too. I don't know. I haven't
using LinkedIn. Like, what's your presence like on LinkedIn? What do you do?
So I have connections on there from like years ago. I started it when I was in college, just because it was required, right, to start a page. And I have a lot of connections on there. I think it's more about connections on there and awareness that can lead to somebody contacting you. Not like, people aren't clearly going on there looking for homes, right? Same thing with Instagram. They're not looking for homes, but you might get in front of them and they might, ask you a question, and that can spark a conversation. YouTube, I think, is more of like, people can be searching for homes and find you because they were looking in a community, and now they're like, oh crap, this person knows everything about that community. That's the one I was curious about. I should call them. So I think they all speak to each other. But for LinkedIn, it's more of, there is lead generation capabilities on LinkedIn and the more connections you make, the more awareness you bring to your business, the more opportunity you may have to turn over a lead from LinkedIn. So there's some things you can do with being able to help communicate, like create conversations on LinkedIn that can really help build your awareness and a potential pipeline of clients in your market. Like if you just want to target doctors in your market or whatever it may be, you're able to segment that where you can't do that on YouTube really. You can't do that on Instagram. So you can be very targeted and strategic in your approach to find the kind of buyers and sellers you want to work with through LinkedIn. So it's an important piece. Now, I do want to pop up and talk about, more about personal branding. Anything that you can do to differentiate yourself from others, I think is important. And I try to use technology as much as possible. Even though people know what a virtual tour is and a Matterport is, you'd be surprised how many agents still don't even use it for their clients. And I mean, I'm showing my listings and I'm like, make sure to click the link in MLS and send the tour to your client so they can walk through later. And, and they're like, where, what? Like it's torture, right? But if you're, I do certain things where I'll do like screen records of my Matterports of my listings and post them on social. So people see that I'm using more innovative approaches to find buyers, find sellers. I went ahead and created my own Giphies in Instagram.
I love.
Which is great, right? It's a big part of my brand and I use it all the time. And random people use them because you can create like your own channel of Giphies and then random hashtags. So whenever somebody looks up something, you might come up and they might use you. And I've had friends screenshot me and send me like, oh my God, this account just used you. That's so cool, right? So those kind of unique things. I'm in the process of working on building a live avatar of myself. It's actually one of the offerings I'm going to be offering to agents through my new platform we're launching. And you can build your own avatar where somebody comes on your website and you are the one talking to them. And, instead of it just being a random chat box. So things that are different, right? Because I believe it's about you. You are the brand. You are the reason somebody's going to work with you or not work with you. I don't care if I had Sotheby's or, any other company's name. There's thousands of agents that also use and are under those brokerages, but it's the actual individual agent that is going to make or break a deal, that is going to get the business or not get the business. So investing in yourself and your own branding is really big to me. That's one of the reasons I made such a big change in my business recently, is because I realized I'm the one that gets the business. I'm the one that invests in my own marketing for my clients. I'm the one that negotiates the deals. It's me. I am the talent, right? You are the talent. So that means I want to put more money in my pocket, not my broker's pocket, right? So how could I make a shift? Because I started analyzing my business and realizing with all the fees and the things that, certain brokerages require, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm doing it all by myself anyways. So I need to make an adjustment in my business. So for me, it's about focusing on you as the brand, and you do not want to hide behind your brokerage's name, because if you were to leave that brokerage, you got to completely rebrand, right? It should always be in the background, the brokerage's information, and you should be number one because you are the talent. So that's my mindset.
Exactly what you do, Anthony.
I love Tiffany, man. Like, you just keep going. Like, this is awesome.
That's my mindset, and I didn't have this originally when I first started, because, I was learning so much on the fly. I mean, I made so many mistakes. Okay. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my career was letting another agent convince me to partner with him and not doing enough research on him personally and professionally. And it really affected my business when that divorce happened. Right. This is an independent business, in my opinion. Yes, you can have teams and people that you collaborate with and support you. But I mean, I wouldn't listen, maybe your husband and wife team, and maybe there are some teams that work out for like, in terms of like two people, but I think it's an independent business, and I wanted to focus on branding myself. And now the way that I look at my business moving forward, it's always going to be Tiffany Pantozzi first, because you should want to reach out to me because you want to work with Tiffany Pantozzi, not some random, group. I don't know. Because if your business changes, remember, anything you did in that random group or random brokerage name, it disappears. You got to start all over again. So no matter what, I'll always have my name first, and no matter where I go, it will be recognizable. And that's my goal moving forward in my business and how I approach my marketing and building my brand.
Makes sense.
Complete sense. Margin shift. Regulations are real, and then you've got big players, Amazon, and Zillow and Credit Karma. People are entering our sector, so don't think things aren't going to change. That's the reason why I do the tag team and brand that, and all the data that I absorb that comes with me. Like that's our CRM, that's our database. So that's so important, and that's what you do so well. I noticed that on your IG.
It's important. I know that I'm a harsh negotiator. I know that I ferociously, and I like to say that because that's how I can best describe, I ferociously represent my clients. So I'm not an attorney, but I'm telling you, I missed my damn calling, Melinda. Like I should have. I just love that whole aspect of breaking down contracts and finding the loopholes and negotiations and all those things. But for me, that's how I represent my clients, and I want to be known for that. I want to be able to represent, build my brand where certain things are very Tiffany, right? So I think that's important for everybody to do in their business.
I love that. So once you have those pieces, right, how are you communicating your brand? You obviously have the way you portray yourself. You bringing your personal logo brand forward, keeping your broker, your whatever in the background, right? But how do you express these things in your social media or in other things that you're marketing?
Well, okay. So one of the things, that's important and that I also feel like a lot of agents miss on is, yes, to some extent, there's a fine line here. What I'm about to explain is that I'm not a model, right? But you'll see me posting pretty pictures of myself in houses and things, right? And I'm not a model. I'm not trying to be a model. I'm trying to sell property, right? But people are attracted to you and they want to see your face. Now, something else very important is they want to see your face, but you want to make sure, why are they coming to your page to see your face? Is it because you have a very short dress on and your boobs are hanging out? Because that's probably not going to help you get business. Now, listen, let me retract that for 5 seconds.
People do get business like that.
There's some girls that get business that way, but that's just not how I operate my business. And that's not, to me, scalable long-term, because I don't know the true intention of a client calling me. And to me, that's kind of scary. If, I'm being, putting myself out there in more of a provocative way. Not only that, but for true, if I want to represent like very high level professionals and there's a husband and wife, do you think the wife is really going to feel very comfortable with me representing her and working with her husband if that's the way I'm presenting myself? So listen, you can be sexy and beautiful by keeping your clothes on and still being very professional and strong and powerful, right? In the way that you present yourself. So I think I see a lot of women putting a little bit too much out there, and it always shocks me. Listen, it works for some, it does, but I just don't know that that's scalable long-term. So going back to, how you
scalable, unless you're going to put some stuff to,
yeah, I don't know.
Because that shit only lasts for so long.
And if you're somebody, there's a lot of people out there, they'll post with fancy cars or in areas being very flashy and showing off. I don't think that's very scalable either. Even if you're a guy, don't pretend that you understand a luxury or a certain segment of the market because you're posing and as it, I think that it's important to provide real value to people. People like free information, right? So you'll see on my page a lot, and I know you guys do this too. It's as much free information as you can provide, the better. Again, it's going to set you as an expert and set you as an authority. There's no harm in it. So give people information, put yourself out there as the brand, but in a very professional manner in how you, dress and what you're saying and the quality of your imagery and things like that is very, very important to be able to build a recognizable and respected brand for the long term.
Respected. That's what it's.
Respected. Yes, right? Because I don't want to get all these followers and do deals and get lucky in my business and where people are like, oh, she got lucky, you know, or she got that because she's over there doing this and that. No, no, no. Anything you see in my business that I've gotten, it's because of my expertise and my work ethic. And I got it all on my own. Nobody handed me one deal ever in my business from when I started. Nothing. I didn't have a family in this business that was already in it and giving me leads. I didn't go on a team that was giving me leads. I figured it all out from scratch. So also I'm really tough on the team members that come on my team. I'm like, listen, I'm not here to spoon feed you. I'm not here to babysit you either. You have to either have the fire and the hunger to learn and grow and build your business, or you're not right to work with me. You also cannot be super sensitive, because I don't sugarcoat very well. So I'm rough around the edges, and that's just who I am. I'm not for everybody. That's okay with me.
This is great. She fits right in, man. So wait, so how, here's a question. How long, you spend a lot of time on marketing or what? Like what's your normal schedule on marketing, all the content that you're producing?
Well, I've now officially, I hired a full-time marketing manager for my business. So I don't have the time to do the posts and come up with all the graphics and make a plan and write them all out and then engage with everybody after you post, like, you know, and I mean, the comments or the DMs, like they are excessive, you know, and I feel bad sometimes. It's hard to get to people. I don't mean to, I'm not trying to like ignore anybody, but it's hard because again, where do I need to focus? I have my list every day. The highest things that on the list are always things that are going to turn me, you know, make money for me. So if I have buyers and sellers that are demanding of me, those Instagram messages are not getting read. I'm sorry. I know that they might be a potential future client. And so I do see value in them and I do want to check them, but it's very hard. So point is, I had to invest in my business, which is so important. From day one, you have to invest in your business. I spent thousands of dollars putting money into my brand website and sending mailers and things like that in the beginning of my business. So you have to save up and be able to invest in your brand, okay? And now that I've grown my business, I segment a full-time salary to a girl that I brought on. She actually started as an intern, which was great, okay? Because I was able to train her and get her to like play the get to know you phase and see what she was capable of at a very low rate of investment for me, right? Awesome. And then when she graduated and she wanted a full-time position, it was good timing for me, good timing for her. And I was able to evolve that into a full-time brand, you know, marketing manager position. So you can't do everything. I am not an octopus. I don't have a lot of arms and legs. Okay. So if you don't surround yourself with talent and people to support your business, you won't grow and you won't scale it.
Yeah. Like period.
Period. Because you'll have no life. Like you won't have time to do anything. Like, I mean, listen, I just think that you have to invest in your business. So yeah, so talking about my branding and marketing now, like even, you know, for this meeting, like my assistant, my marketing manager, she sent my information you guys needed. She put it on my calendar. Like you slowly have to be able to push things off to somebody else to help you so that I can focus on my clients. Like right now, as we all know, the market is bananas. So every day I have to be focusing on my buyers and sellers, but you don't want to stop your marketing and stop the things that are going to get you other things, right? You can't. So I had to invest in a full-time girl, and it's a great investment. But I encourage other people, if you don't have that budget yet, go to your local university, try to find an intern. Again, you have to have structure for your interns. Don't be asking them to get you coffee because they want to learn. You know, you got to give value to them. But I have an intern right now, and she is so she's also a marketing intern underneath my marketing manager, and she's 3 days a week, and she's getting school credit. So, and from UCF, and she's great, you know, so there is ways that I'm able to now delegate these very important marketing tasks to my girls.
Yeah. It's so important because even though marketing tasks like social media, it's important. You have to be present. You have to be there. If you're not there, if you don't exist, basically. So you need to do all these things, but they're really not the best use of your time of your own time, right? They need to be done, but really it shouldn't be by you. Of course, we go in there and put our personal flavors on them, but you really need to outsource some of that to have the presence there consistently, and not have it not interfere.
But something important too, I still approve everything.
Yes.
You know, I still have to make sure that it's my voice, my personality, you know, that is being put out there. I don't just hire a company to make like 100 generic posts, because that's not going to get any engagement, right? And it's not going to provide true value because it's generic. So I do still put a lot of time in and effort because it is important. But yes, those sort of things, like, you know, that Instagram's a black hole. The second I go on it, I'm scrolling and I'm in a black hole, and I just lost like 45 minutes of my day. So to stay and remain productive, that's why I had to invest in having somebody else assist me in staying up on all them. And this isn't just for my social platforms, right? It's also my listings. Like, I do a lot of strategic marketing for my clients to be able to get them top dollar for their homes. So I have to trigger a lot of steps and things that they also help me with.
We have two really good questions from the audience that I think will take us to some really good information here. So let's go. One here from Stephanie: how do you fake it till you make it with luxury clients? I got 4 to 6 buyer seller leads that are 1 to 2 million, and one that is 4 to 8 equestrian lead. I have only sold a property at 680. How do I get these leads to trust me as a luxury agent if I'm not even technically one yet? Part 2, the $4 to $8 million lead is an equestrian lead. She's an Olympic horse trainer, and I know nothing about horses. So how do I secure that?
What market is she in?
I'm not sure.
If you can type what market you're in and how you obtained these leads, I will be able to give you a better answer.
Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County.
Okay. So that $4 to $8 million lead, and she's an equestrian, you do not want to lose that. Okay. So immediately I would go and find the top agent that sells in that space, that understands it, call them, explain to them this lead that you have, and ask them if they would go 50-50 on it with you. Listen, 50% of that commission is still a great commission. Plus, you're going to learn so much. Then your name is going to be on that list, you know, that sold in the MLS. You can, you know what I mean? It's a no-brainer. Do not lose that opportunity because you are being greedy on not wanting to share. So I would connect with one of the top agents, call 2 or 3, ask them, are you knowledgeable in this area? Have you worked in this area? Ask them questions. Be like, listen, I have a buyer. Here's the information. Make sure that you have the buyer qualified, so it's not going to waste this person's time, and make sure they're serious. And explain to them, listen, I'm a newer agent, but this is a legitimate buyer, and I would love to see if you would, you know, work with me on this and collaborate as an expert in that space, and I'll give you 50% referral. Now, again, you don't want to just hand it off and never be involved, because you won't learn that way. So I would make sure to ask that, you know, you would still want to be involved in communicating in all the emails and any of the showings you would, you know, show up, because your goal is to learn from this experience and not lose the opportunity. So that would be number one, what I would do for that big equestrian client.
And then she said the leads are half Zillow, half sending out letters to look for people that are interested in selling to buyers that I have. The equestrian leads is from Zillow.
Amazing. So those leads, again, you got to make sure, are they legitimate? Are they really qualified? You're not going to call a top agent and waste their time on, you know, somebody. So you're going to have to vet that person out a little further. And, you know, you can obviously send them properties, because that's easy to do. Start sending them things, but letting them know, listen, I always like to use COVID as an excuse these days and saying, well, now with, you know, COVID and everybody's been so scared about letting people inside of their property, we do require, most homeowners do require proof of funds or pre-approval letters. So I'll need to gather that information first to ensure that we can access any property you may want to see, because the market is also moving very quickly. So we don't want you to miss out if we find something or something pops on the market, because, you know, we want to make sure you're prepared. So getting them to just making sure you vet them so that you're not wasting anybody's time and your time, which is most important. But you can do so much research online, right? You can start Googling and learning everything that you can about equestrian properties and things to know. I bet you there's tons of YouTube channel videos and articles to read so that you can get somewhat of a, high level understanding of it. So you don't sound like you absolutely have no value to add, but I would encourage you to find a top agent in that market for sure.
Another question.
Yeah.
After that, there's another question. I have a property under contract that will be my biggest sale, $3 million. I'm representing the buyer. How do I capitalize on that and get into the luxury? I'm in Miami.
Awesome. So you're going to want to definitely, immediately, I would be sending a letter or something to all of the homes around that area, explaining to them that you're pending in this property. Tell them like some of the wins of the deal. Like obviously you can't tell them certain things like price and things like that, but you can still say that, we're under contract on this property. It went pending at this, price point. I'm not sorry, price point at, with this many amount of days. Like you can say certain things about the transaction, but I would, send letters to the area, letting them know who you are and that you have other qualified buyers that are still looking, that missed out on this one. I would definitely let them know that to bring some awareness. There's other agents that call the homeowners around those areas to be like, hey, did you know that property X, Y, and Z just went under contract in 2 days for over asking? We still have buyers. Would you even consider, selling? Can I prepare a complimentary valuation for you? Like you can leverage the properties around anything selling in your market, even if you're not the listing agent.
So mailers, calling. What about in social media? How can you use that?
Yeah,
I'm sure you could take.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would tell the story. Storytelling is important. Maybe tell the story of your search with this buyer, like how they found you, how you provided value, how you got them this great property that they're thrilled about, right? And then you're able to show pictures, talk about your story of what maybe some other properties you went to, because they're all in the luxury space. Like show them this one. They didn't like it because of X. Show them this one. They didn't like it because of X. Like maybe create a little video about it, explaining the buyer experience with you and how you found them the great property, right? Because again, you saw luxury properties, you secured a luxury property. So now you're talking in the luxury space and you're creating content that can be consumed at a later date, right? So if you create a video about this, it can be a month later and somebody can watch your story and want to hire you. So create content that can be consumed outside of that one-time post is important to think about.
Would you create content when you just got the listing? So that way, if you're doing a mailer in that subdivision, let's just say hypothetically speaking, that might be more organic traffic your way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, if I have a listing, I'm leveraging it. You have to leverage your listings. Okay. Yeah. If it's my listing, everybody around that listing is going to know that I'm listing that house. Okay. And I'm going to keep them up to date. If we go under contract quickly, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to also tell them I have more buyers that missed out on this property and maybe are you willing to sell? Like I'm going to leverage that as much as possible, not only by hitting the mailboxes of those sellers around, but also on social media, right? I'm going to do a video because my video will live forever in social media. So when people come back, even a few months later, they can see, oh, wow, she sold all these properties, right? Yeah, because I'm featuring them on my digital imprint as well. Okay. So I'm going to leverage it as much as possible if I'm the listing agent. Now, if I'm the buyer's agent, of course you have certain limitations, but you can tell your story of representing buyers and how you find them these great properties. Or, you can still do that to show that you work in a certain segment, you work in a certain area, you're knowledgeable, and why people should hire you.
Love it. Love it. That's all good stuff, man. There's another question. What type of, do you have your own CRM or do you use the company's CRM?
So our company provides a CRM that we use called Copper. So, but prior to that, I did use Follow Up Boss, but let me be very straight with everybody. I am not very consistent with using my CRM and I don't use it as well as I should. I literally use it as like a contact management system. It's bad. So some agents are, killers with their CRM. I'm not. So I'm not one to talk.
Outsource that.
What did you say?
Outsource the management of that system to someone on your team.
Yeah, totally. Somebody else. Exactly. So that's something that I don't use too much.
That you dig it, like that you really love, find somebody that like or part of the marketing team can help manage and build out your CRM for sure.
Yeah, it is important for sure. I mean, it's super important. Even right now, like, listen, if you sold, if you're in, depending on what state you're in, well, most people are probably from Florida, but if you sold homes to buyers that are now homeowners, 2 years ago plus, you should be running valuations for them and saying, hey, just want you to know what your home is currently valuing at. Not sure you would ever consider moving, but in case you were, let me know because the market's on fire. Like utilize the clientele in your sphere that you already have. So that's obviously an important reason you need to have a CRM to keep, a tabs on your network that you've built throughout your business.
For sure. We're talking about calling past clients in our 100-day sales challenge this morning, because that's another great way to reach out to clients is, hey, do you know how much your house is worth now after a few years? Like the market's on fire. If you do want to sell, it's going to sell real quick. So let me know.
Yep.
It's crazy, but like people are happy to hear that their house is valued, whether they're ready to sell or not. Like the idea that their house is valued.
Surprised, man. I see the analytics of the equity that they've earned. I mean, some of these, there was one yesterday, 37%. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I should call this person and just say if they, sell the damn place, buy a new place, like
refi, cash it out.
Yeah, that too. I think there's so much opportunity right now with content and analytics.
Yeah.
So when you're marketing, I want to switch over to the actual, like when you had the listing, right? How are you marketing your luxury listings different than you would? Obviously, there's a bit more cash flow that you need, maybe a few more things that you would want to do, or is there not? Like what is different about a luxury listing?
So, obviously there's usually a lot more amenity to a home in the luxury space, whether it's in a more desirable location with access to things, or the home has theaters and gyms and, lake access or ocean access, whatever it might be. So when working in the luxury space and marketing, number one, the expectation of like what you should be doing from your clients are a lot higher. Okay. They're going to expect more from you. So you better have oh my God, you just reminded me to do something. This conversation, I'm like, shit, I got to do something. Oh my gosh. Let me just make a note. Okay. Okay. Cannot forget to do that. So, for a big listing that I'm going after, I'm like, damn it, I forgot that. See, we're all human, guys. We're all human. So what's important though, is you have to have the funds to be able to do some of this marketing. Okay. So if you get a home and you just think that you're just gonna, spend the least amount of money on it to market it, that is gonna definitely do you a disservice and your client a disservice. And your client's probably going to sniff it out and be like, what have you really done for me to earn this massive commission that you're expecting at the end of this, right? So number one, have the funds to be able to spend money on the marketing, okay? Because even if you're going to do, so for me, if I get a luxury listing, I'm definitely doing a video on it. It's a no-brainer. Like I'm absolutely going to do a video on it. And that's going to cost a few $1,000s, okay? Then maybe it's a dated home. And maybe I'm going to do some virtual renderings to show what the potential of a renovation could look like. Well, that can be a few $1,000s too. Okay. Now, so when you're playing in this space, you got to have the money to spend. Sometimes, go ahead.
I mean, that's amazing. Rendering. So how are you doing that? Like just you're
in a company.
Okay. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
So there's virtual, designers. There's designers that I use. So sometimes I'll do virtual home staging because staging's not cheap. And a lot of the time the seller does not want to invest in that. Yeah. I don't really believe in spending the money from me to stage a home. I know that it's very beneficial to have a home stage, but I think that that's the owner's responsibility. Of course, I haven't yet had a listing where I've agreed to pay for the staging. Okay. I can't say that I never will, depending on the listing, but I can tell you that, it does help. Okay. To get the home sold, but if you can't get it staged in real life, I've done virtual staging, which really helps still to show a buyer and give them perspective of how a space can be used or transformed. Okay. So there are, and that has helped me a lot in my business, to like buyers that, again, I've represented the listing, and on the buyer side, the buyers have literally said to me, well, it's those renderings that are helping us understand what this could be. Thank you for making them. So that's a pretty cool feedback, you know? But again, they all cost money. Going back to this, it costs money to represent luxury properties. So you have to have that. You can't just, you know, think you're just going to jump in and have no budget for it.
And for those of the people who haven't done much of this yet, are those expenses things that the agent is supposed to be covering as part of their work, or is that something that you ask the seller to pay?
Yes. I mean, pictures, video, virtual renderings, brochures, PR, you know, mailers, online ads. Those are all things that the agent pays for. That's part of, you know, your investment into the property. Because again, when you get paid, you're going to get it covered, right? But there are times when it doesn't sell, right? For whatever reason, and your listing runs out and you're shit out of luck. Okay. Or the client cancels on you, and they're just, you know, that happens too. And sometimes if you don't have it in your contract that they're going to recover your expenses, you can also be shit out of luck. So there's a gamble you take as an agent to invest in certain opportunities and properties. And like I said, as a listing agent, you leverage it for your brand. So sometimes I look at certain things as more of opportunity to expose myself than, oh, I'm excited to sell this particular house.
Right, because a lot of those things that you say you do, you can use that for your own personal, right? The cross promotion, right? So those mailers, those flyers, those handouts, whatever it is that you're using, the videos, you're using that for your own personal, right?
Shaq's house.
Wow.
Yeah, I leveraged that entirely, you know, so it didn't, you know, it fell apart at the end, unfortunately, but I leveraged that listing. Like they've been trying to sell it for 2 years with multiple other agents. No other agent had come in and do the extensive marketing that I had done. And we had like over 1 billion impressions on media across the world. You know, I mean, there was so much that we did. I mean, we did an incredible listing video and things that nobody had seen before. We did the renderings and all those kinds of things. And listen, sometimes it doesn't work out, but right. Now I can tell you that thousands of other agents and buyers and sellers across the world know who I am because I leveraged that opportunity and that listing.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so some of the best agents in this business, they don't, like, there's homes that you just don't sell. It sucks, right? You have the listing, you do a great job, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Okay, some of the best of the best. So it's not always the agent when, you know, sometimes things don't work out. Maybe it's the client or timing is bad, whatever, right? But again, if you're going to get a listing and it's in an area you want to build your business, you need to leverage that listing by doing as much marketing as possible, getting in the faces of the community, because whether you sell it or not, that was good for your business.
Awesome.
All right, so we have a few more questions that came in. We're like at the end, but let's see if we could squeeze one or two more. Let's see if we can squeeze one or two.
I can go another hour, man. You got so much.
We can do this again.
Yeah. Okay. So in a market, in any market, there are sellers that want to reduce agents' commissions. How do you handle that discussion when it comes up, if it does, in a luxury space?
Okay, this is tricky. Now, definitely most of the luxury homes over $1 million, you're not gonna, it's very rare to get the full 3% these days because there's too many agents undercutting themselves and you're competing with, right? So it is realistic in our market, at least, to expect that you're going to get them to agree to 5%. So it's 2.5 and 2.5, right? Now, if they want to reduce any further, I like to say a few things. Number one, I'm not a discount broker, and you're paying me because of my expertise, and I'm going to be investing in your home, okay, and your property. And these things cost money that I'm investing to do. Plus, you're tapping into my network, my sphere of influence, my marketing, expertise to sell your home at absolute top dollar. So, you always like to use comparisons because maybe that clicks. And I say, listen, I'm not an attorney, right? And I definitely didn't go to school to be an attorney. But at the same time, when you are going to negotiate something really important in your life, are you going to go to the discount attorney? Probably not. So if I'm going to be representing one of your most valuable assets, right? Because this is one of your most valuable assets, then don't you want to have the best of the best representing you? Okay. So that has a proven track record, all of those things. So you have to defend and fight for your value, right? And listen, if some people don't see it, there has been times where there was a top agent that I was competing with this great property for, and I didn't budge on my commission. And then when I saw that she got it and I saw what she offered, she had discounted. So, you know, it sucks. And that's kind of was like a really aha moment where, listen, in this luxury space, sometimes you might have to go for the 5%. And if they're still fighting you on that, you're going to have to make the decision on whether or not it's worth it for you. Is it an area you're trying to tap into to grow your business? You might eat a little bit of it because you want to get in, you know, wedge yourself in. But for the standard of our industry, like, we don't want to continue on that path because that won't be good for any of us long-term, right? So the more value you can show a client that you're going to provide and how you're truly going to invest in their home, it will defend your value and your commission. So what I also like to say is let's just say there's 3% in a deal going to the listing agent. Okay, well, there's definitely a piece of that that's going to be going to your broker that you can't take away. Okay, some people, if you're your own broker, okay, fine, this doesn't apply to you, but most people aren't. So something's going to go to your broker. Okay. Something is definitely better be going to marketing. And then something else is going to go to feed your family, because I don't work for free. So if somebody's going to be taking away money from something, you know, it's not going to be to feed their family. It's not going to be from their broker, because their broker most likely won't allow it. It's going to be from your marketing. And now that's going to give you a disadvantage from the competitors on the market. So there's some of the things that you want to kind of say to people to get in their head.
I like that.
You know, you gotta get in people's head a little bit and be firm and confident. If you don't walk in with that confidence of like, no, I'm the best in the field, I'm going to get you results and you're going to pay me for it, then they're just going to walk all over you, and, you know, and you'll end up probably taking less. Now, one other thing I will say about this, depending on price point, I went there's a home that I recently sold, and they were agents themselves, the people selling. So they were going to sell by themselves. I convinced them not to, but I did take a reduced commission on that because they're agents, you know? And so depending on the scenario, you have to really consider, and I knew it would be good for me to have multiple sales in this community. So I was like, man, I know I can get that under contract in one day. So sure, I'll take the 2%. You know, but that is not a standard that you would ever want to continue with, because it's only going to hurt you long-term. So it's a loaded question. You got to really evaluate each listing and why you're going after it. But yeah, at a minimum, I wouldn't take less than 5% if you can, if you could, you know?
Yeah.
No discounts in this house.
Sometimes I'll get some, like, depending on who's asking me. When an agent asks me to reduce my fees and I know them very well, I'm like, what do I look like, the swap shop? Like, there's an offer. Like, we don't really, like, it's not like that. Like, we already are the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to how much money everybody's making, and we do a lot of work and we have a lot of the liability at the end. So I joke about that, but it's kind of like swap shop is the local flea market.
No, I know the swap shop. I know it very well. But no, I totally agree. I think as professionals in this field, it's about elevating this industry, okay? Because a lot of people, unfortunately, for many years looked at it as a joke, and I actually did myself. I never wanted to be in real estate, actually, because I looked at other agents and I'm like, they're like, that's who I'm going to be working with. So it's about elevating this profession and providing better, higher level quality and services to your clients, but also helping each other, right? Keep it elevated. Don't be that, you know, slimy discount agent that just wants to slime into all these deals and hurt the industry long-term. We all work for a living. So support your vendors, pay them their fees. Okay. And they're
not even paying the fees. The best part is that the agents don't pay our fees. The clients pay our fees.
And they're still asking, right?
You know, and it's like, did the client even complain about the fee? Like, usually the client will tell us if there's a problem with the fee.
Not only that, but listen,
I just had someone complain about the appraisal, and I was like, a third party, I just gave you 2 G's. Like, I cut $2,000 on costs, and we're complaining about the appraisal. Like, what the hell's going on?
I know.
If you start doing that, then they're going to take more and more, and they start walking on you. You're not controlling your client at that point. We've done a whole episode on that. This is good stuff, man.
This was awesome. It took a different turn than what I was initially thinking, but I love it because they're like practical like things about being in the luxury, and reducing your fee also impacts your brand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Talking about high level service, high level professional, high level everything, right? And then you're like, but I'll give you a low level commission, you know, like that doesn't match up, right? So it's all part of that.
Yeah.
Although people do sometimes want to negotiate, and you can give a little, but like you said, you gotta stick to your guns for that. And the way you presented that makes sense. I'm sure there's vendors you could recommend or companies you could recommend. I don't know if any of them service South Florida or where. If you'd like to share them with me, I know people are asking like, who do you use for this or that? So if for vendors for staging, for example, or other types of resources, we'll get with her.
Well, like, I think the company like for virtual staging, I think it's called like Box Brownie or something online.
So we'll get that information and send you that with the show notes after the show. And we'll share her information, and then let us know when you launch your marketing company.
Yeah, we'll send it to our subscribers, man, because they're asking. So that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I'm actually coming to Miami this weekend to work with my partner all weekend because it's so hard during the week to really dig in. So I'm going to work Saturday, Sunday with him, and we're going to really dial in a bunch of things because we want to definitely launch it in the next 30 to 60 days. More like 60 days probably.
Cool. Nice. All right. So keep us posted, and thank you so much for sharing your time. I think everyone loved it. You always share some good nuggets with everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone else, if you still have more questions, look for her in the DM. She'll respond when she's not making money.
I love it.
Awesome,
it was so fun, guys. I look forward to another one. But yeah, everybody connect with me on social. At Tiffany Pantozzi, and I look forward to helping provide more value, and I wish everybody a great, successful year.
You too.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.